Hey everybody, how you doing? It's your boy, sugar, Halucha Lucha. Man, you saw that edit that I accidentally did? It's your boy Halucha Lucha, aka Matthew J. Brownlee, and today we're going over some wrestling news. Um, and we're going to talk about tonight's Raw preview and what to expect and all that stuff. We have people who be like in the put their foot in their mouths. We got some debuts going on. We got title wins. We have a whole bunch of stuff to get to. But first, I would like to say rest in peace to Kamala, uh, aka James Harris. He was a wrestler, I think in the 80s and 90s. I personally know him from his battles with the Undertaker. I watched wrestling like later, like during the Ruthless Aggression, going into the Ruthless Aggression era. So I didn't watch wrestling until like later, but I did watch some old wrestling stuff, and I remember him from when he was like wrestling Undertaker in like casket matches and stuff like that. I think he had faced the Undertaker like at WrestleMania too. I think he's like disposed of him really easily. But I know he also had some matches with Hulk Hogan. He wrestled all over the world and stuff like that. Uh, Unfortunately for him, later down the road, he had like a lot of health problems. I think both his legs was amputated. He was in like a wheelchair forever. But a lot of the wrestling community, the wrestlers, saying how much of a nice, genuine guy he was, and that he always had a smile. I think Bret Hart mentioned it before that how when he first met him, he was just always a nice guy. Always saw the brighter side of everything, and that's the type of people we like on this here channel. So rest in peace, Kamala. Uh, and Godspeed to his family and friends. So, first thing we're going to get into, we're going to talk about people who are getting their foot in their mouth. One in particular, his name is Seth Rollins, who always likes to blame fans for things that happened, and he did it again. According to the Gorilla podcast, he did a podcast. He was on a podcast, the Gorilla podcast, Position podcast. He talked about challenges faced by wrestling today, as week to week programming could be at a disadvantage when compared to other forms. So, this is what he said. In the age of instant gratification, audiences don't have the patience for long term storytelling. When you can binge watch your favorite series in 2 days as opposed to 2 months, it creates a different precedent for how we intake our entertainment. But Rollins does acknowledge that wrestling needs to find ways to meet that challenge to better serve an audience that embraces how media is consumed in 2020 and beyond. We are consuming our entertainment differently, and wrestling is not immune to that shift. We have to adapt as well to keep up with our audience. I am in my 30s, so I grew up in a longer form of entertainment, but our younger audience isn't wired that way. So, um, that's sort of true. That's sort of true that there are wrestlers who um, there are fans that are not into long term booking. They want their stuff now. They want Bailey and Sasha. They already want Bailey and Sasha. I mean, Bailey and Sasha's a different story because they did do long term booking. But something like say maybe uh, AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura. They wanted they wanted just right then, like when as soon as they Shinsuke Nakamura won the Royal Rumble, they want AJ Styles, yeah, we want AJ Styles, and they get AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura right then. They get it at WrestleMania, and then they get a whole bunch more after. Um, I think, and then they normally do like weird storytelling like before, like after that. But I think that if the story is good, like if we have good story, like the Sasha and Bailey story, like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, like if they have stories like that, I don't think there would ever be a problem for long term story booking if it's done right. But they don't like doing stories right like that. They like either getting to the point or they like draw it out and they do bad segments and stuff like that. Like the Seth Rollins that storybook and like the storytelling is really good. Like that's good stuff. Like, but the thing is, like the only problem that I have with the Seth Rollins story, like that whole thing is like it's the same people. Like we keep getting the Seth Rollins versus Humberto Carrillo, Seth Rollins and Murphy versus Humberto and Aleister Black, Murphy versus Aleister Black, Seth Rollins versus Aleister Black, Humberto Carrillo versus Seth Rollins, Dominic jumps him, Dominic and Mysterio gets beat up, somebody's eye get taken out. It happens the same every single week. The same thing happens and happens and happens, and it keeps happening. Same thing with like the MVP thing. Like I love what the Hurt Business is doing, but I mean, and it looks like they're about to go in a different direction too. And it also, like with the Seth Rollins thing, it also looks like they finally are going to a different direction because they have the little wrinkle with Samoa Joe. Seth Rollins was doing something to Tom Phillips, and he tried to get Murphy, and my boy Samoa Joe got up. He was like, "Nah, that's not what you're about to do." So it seems like he's getting at it back into that mix, which would be great. And the same thing with the MVP thing. It was just like MVP and Lashley would face off against Apollo. He faced, which they're still doing the Two Fly Crew, Ricochet and Cedric Alexander, the whole 24/7 thing. Like that's the same thing that they keep doing every single week, and it's like it's pretty like it's good, but like do something different. Like we want different stuff, and um and that's what they're doing again with the whole the Raw Underground stuff, which it seems like that's going to be different, and we like all of that. So that's what his take is, and that's my take on that. Another wrestler who seemingly uh, puts his he doesn't really put his foot in his mouth, but it's a little controversial subject, and that's Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho was at his was with his Fozzy band. They were in like South Dakota or North Dakota or something like that, and they played out in a show. They did a show out there, and I guess it was a thing where they was like, "Oh, we're not going to be there," but they did end up being there, and so the concert. Jericho speaks out on the concert on his Saturday show, and he says it. And what he says is, "We actually did 4 shows this week, and the reason for this is we had our tour, the Save the World tour, which was originally booked for April and May. It got postponed to July and August, and then got postponed to October, and November. Uh, but 4 shows remain in August, and I was like, how? Well, the shows are in South Dakota and North Dakota, and we have one in Fort Madison, Iowa, which is right near the border of South Dakota, and the reason why shows are happening have happened. We did 2 already. We got a third one tonight. Is because these states, North Dakota and South Dakota, have low COVID cases, less than 1,000 in both states. I think Florida had 9,000 today alone. So yeah, the venues are either outside or they're half capacity. Like we're sold out right now in Minoy, with I think 50% capacity. Last night we were sold out in Sox Falls, South Dakota. I think there was 35% capacity. We hand out our masks at the doors, temperature checks, and all that stuff. Basically, we stay on the bus all day. Everybody in the project camp, crew, band have been tested, and yeah, so it's kind of how we're doing it. Everything's been going good. It's been great to be back on stage again. Blah 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 blah. So pretty much the big concern with that is the fact that AEW is live, and even though that they've taken precautions and stuff, you never know what's going to happen. Like he's about to wrestle live against Orange Cassidy this Wednesday, where I'm 97.9% sure that Orange Cassidy is going to win that. But it's just a thing where maybe if they did it already, if they already taped the match and they knew that he was going to win, that they knew Cassidy was going to win, and they did some angle where that would take him out for a couple of weeks, where Jericho's like, well, okay, maybe we already had the match, so maybe I'm going to take this few dates and then I'm going to quarantine myself for 2 weeks. You know, that's cool. But if you're just out there doing the show and then you have your wrestling live, you can still be at risk. Uh, it doesn't matter. You can still be at risk doing that. So hopefully everything's good and he doesn't do anything crazy, stuff like that. So there's one more guy that I want to that I want to talk about if I can find it. You guys are gonna get a kick out of this one. Up here it is. Here it is. Found it. So the last person who likes to put their foot in their mouth is a man they called Goldberg. Goldberg. So in an interview with American Monster Productions, Goldberg commented on Roman Reigns' tweet from earlier this year. So this is what Roman Reigns said. I guess Nick said something to him, so we're gonna read. Oh, can't read the tweet, but Nick probably asked to explain something about Roman Reigns to whatever happened earlier in the year. Roman Reigns said nothing to explain, Nick. It's a little piece of pad. So I don't break my hand on a steel grate. I gotta perform like 48 weeks a year, man. So that would be stupid. It would be like headbutting a door before my match level of stupid. Anyway, have a good day, Nick. Oh, I think I remember this tweet. There was a tweet um, where where Roman Reigns, he does this Superman punch and he punches the, ooh, that hurt. Punches the ramp, but there's like a padded on the ramp, so he was addressing the ramp, like why there's pad on the ramp so he doesn't hurt himself, unlike Goldberg who headbutts the door and bleeds automatically. So so Goldberg explains himself hilariously. So he says, Roman, you're a joke. First of all. Second of all, when he ragged me about headbutting the door and stuff, I never really explained my whole thought process on that. For you guys that get the character that you got, I had to do certain things. Well, one of them was headbutting the door, right? And that may on the outside look like a stupid move, but as I mentioned, we all weigh the positives and negatives, so it's very positive to make it as violent as humanly possible and as real as humanly possible. And all the negative is you lose a little blood, and hey man, you got another concussion and a cut a week off of your life. So yeah. The only joke that I see is Goldberg beating Fiend for the Universal Championship. That's the joke I see. And he never should have lost. And nobody. Anyways. So we're going to get away from that because I'm over that already. Um, so a couple more things that we're going to talk about. One thing that I want to talk about is for all the New Japan fans out there. I don't know if anybody knows about or likes New Japan, but if you're a fan of New Japan, um, they had a pay per view or a show, uh, and at Tur Tama Tamahiro Ishii. Oh, okay, Tamahiro Ishii. I'm bugging. New Never Six Man Tag Team Champions crowned in Kerrigan Final. Tamahiro Ishii, Hiroki Goto, and Yoshihashi became the 21st Never champions. Um, and the reason why this is important for all the wrestling people out there is that this is Yoshihashi's first ever championship in his 12-year career. First ever. First, numero uno, 12-year career. His first ever championship. And it's the six-man never tag team championships. Wow, that's so big. So I guess they had a match against somebody with Okada and his crew, and they're pretty much talking about how Yoshihashi and uh, Okada formed a. They've been together for those 12 years, and Okada is like one of the most decorated champions of all time, and Goda has never won a single title until that time that he won. So congratulations to him and them for winning those titles. So the last thing that I'm going to talk to about before I get to this preview is um, not Impact Wrestling, AEW Wrestling. We're going to talk some AEW. So if you guys know Rachel Everling, she is the daughter of Paul Ellering. She was former NXT person in WWE. She gets released, and she is going to be on Dynamite Dark, AEW Dark twice, two times tomorrow night. So the first one that she's going to do, she's going to be in a match, a one-on-one match, and we're going to talk about that right now. Da, 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 da. Okay, so she will feature. She's gonna go and she's gonna face Penelope Ford in AEW Dark 101, and then she will also that same night be in a tag team against Ivelisse and Diamante with Dasha Freitas, the announcer Dasha, lit. So she's gonna be doing double duty, which is hilarious. So I don't know. I didn't even know if Dasha can wrestle or not, but we're gonna find out. Well, people will find out tomorrow on AEW Dark if she can wrestle or not. As part of that tag team women tournament, which will probably better if they kind of had it on TV and not dark. But it's not my fault. It's not my problem. So final thing that we're gonna talk about is what to expect tonight on Monday Night Raw. So first things first. Uh, Mickey James will return tonight on Raw. Mickey James will make her return tonight on Raw. The former WWE Women's Champion and Divas Champion has been gone for more than a year. What exactly does Mickey have in store for the WWE Universe? So she will be there. Uh, WWE also announces a SummerSlam contract signing for Dominic Mysterio versus Seth Rollins. This will be the opening segment of tonight's Raw, so expect that to open up Raw. Zelina Vega versus Bianca Belair was also announced for the show, and another Retribution appearance was teased. So, I could have just read down the line. So they're gonna do the Mickey James return, Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega, possible appearance by Retribution. Seth Rollins and Dominic Mysterio open up Raw with contract signing. Kevin Owens versus Randy Orton. Bayley versus Asuka. Asuka earns the Raw Women's Championship shot from Sasha Banks at SummerSlam if she wins, which will be a very good match. And Raw Underground continues with Shane, Mickey McMahon, and there is also a beautiful tease that there will be something different for tonight's Raw Underground. That if speculated, if it is correct, that they're gonna be women's shooting women, wrestling, getting all of that in there in on Raw Underground. So one of the names that was talked about was Shayna Basler. So Shayna Basler is in her natural habitat, just choking people out and putting the elbows on people. Oh, this could be good stuff. This is what I was saying. Have to give Raw Underground a chance because it could end up being good stuff. So she's talked about it. I think Dana Brooke has also mentioned it about wanting to do it. Liv Morgan has mentioned wanting to do it, and then they also talked about Shayna Baszler. So that could be all good stuff. Um, I'll be back later tomorrow, sometime tomorrow before I go to work, and we're gonna talk about Raw and how it was. What do you guys think about uh, Raw tonight? Do you think it's gonna be good stuff? I know that Oscar Bailey's gonna be great. Selena and Bianca, they'll try. They'll be a thing. I know Bianca's really good. I mean, Selena and Bianca are very good, but they're not going to give it enough time, which is I know. But for what it will be, it'll probably be decent. It's going to be that and more. So I guess I'll see you guys next tomorrow, and hopefully you guys have a good day. Stay safe. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Peace.